Okay, so we're gonna get things going. If you guys have any questions, if you guys need anything along the way, simply put them in the chat box. We have JD and Ari preparing questions as we dive into the Q&A. I first and foremost have to practice my manners, and I have to say welcome. I'm so happy that you guys are here, and I'm so happy that you are dedicating this time to ensure that we're on the same page moving forward, and that you are growing and getting exactly what you want. So on that note, let's get the party started. You will often hear me make allusions to partying, and while that is like an alter ego of mine, it's an alter ego that never is like substantiated, because when I say party, I usually mean like, let's throw on some sweatpants and read a book. So yeah, wild party animal over here. Okay, so social curator issue number 1. This laid the foundation for where Social Curator started. We talked about planning a month of social media posts. How you got to this class is by watching the webinar. And on the webinar, we talked about creating categories. And then based on those categories, we talked about planning out a month of content in advance. Now, that didn't necessarily mean that we were shooting every photo for the month in advance, but we had a clear idea of where we were headed and how we were going to get there. Then when you dove into issue number 1, I shared with you how I plan my monthly content according to where I'm going to be location-wise, holiday-wise, promotion-wise, and then just what's going on in my business at the time. And then I included my weekly to-do list. And this weekly to-do list broke down everything. How often I'm going to be posting on social media, what my organic reach is, my daily to-do list. So that was laying out what I do and how I approach social media so that I could be present every single day but not feel totally overwhelmed. So I just want to highlight a few of our subscribers along the way, because we want to talk about batching imagery. Like, we want to talk about batching our workload so that not every day we're like strung out in what we're going to post. So Robin has a community of Pilates students. So she teaches Pilates. She has an online community. It's amazing. I love what she's doing. But she said she honestly feels like she's cheating and just got inspired to schedule the next few weeks so she can enjoy her vacation. And that, to me, friends, is exactly what Social Curator is about. It's about running your business without being tied to your business. Now, this is a look at Robin's feed. This is her Instagram profile. Now, I really like how Robin is including pictures and videos that are her own, but then she's interspersing a few photos from Social Curator to still make it look and feel like she can still have a life, she can still go on vacation and plan content in advance. Another subscriber who I'm a big fan of is Zach with Heart, Soul, and Hustle. He does online digital marketing, and he was talking to his audience about how planning to scale during your launches and create success online, which is great. And he took his issue of Social Curator out by the pool and was planning his content for the month. And I was like, that's inspirational. I want to plan my content by the pool. So he just like up-leveled that. And I was really excited to see that. And one thing that has been really cool to see is that people are creating accountability with other people in their community, but they're also tagging me so that I get to see. So this is Studio 1111, and they had a brainstorming session. And what you'll see in the lower right-hand corner of this photo is you'll see the issue printed out. You'll also see a social media calendar printed out, and she's working with her team. She's a photographer. And while she's not using Social Curator photos, because she has a lot of photos to choose from, she's using the captions to create content and plan content for the month. So, because I outlined everything in issue 1 and it was foundational, what I want to use this class for moving forward is if you have questions, if you feel like you're stuck, if you're feeling frustrations, or you're in kind of like molasses when it comes to planning your content for the month, feel free to add your question right now, and JD and Ari will pass them to me as we quickly get to the Q&A session. So the big picture for this particular class is I'm going to be chatting for about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm specifically to issue number 2. We're going to break down the nitty-gritty of Instagram stories and how to use it for your business. But I wanted to leave a lot of time for Q&A because I think that Q&A is really applicable to where you are at this moment. Okay, now I want to highlight just a couple people making Social Curator their own, because I don't have to preach to the choir, right? You already drank the Kool-Aid. But there were some people who were just like, I'm so nervous about what Social Curator is going to look like, and is it going to look like everybody else, and how do I make it my own? I want to highlight just a few students who are doing a fantastic job at making Social Curator look like their own and fit into their feed. So this is Munch Bakery. She is a baker here in Southern California. Now, the thing that I wanted to highlight about Munch Bakery is that she found a way to incorporate Social Curator photos along with her goodies and treats. Now, I kind of took particular notice because I'm guessing that Munch Bakery is taking these photos on her iPhone or on a very basic digital camera, and how she's been able to incorporate. I really like her use of, in the lower right-hand corner, you have a social curator photo, and then you have one of her sugar flowers. And so you'll see the progression as she's making macaroons and goodies. I thought she's doing a really great job at connecting the dots between her photos and social curator photos to fill in the gaps. Now, I just showed you an example of somebody using an iPhone and incorporating, or a really basic digital camera, and incorporating social curator photos into it. This is Amanda Cromer. She's a professional photographer, so obviously her photos are going to look gorgeous and amazing, but I really like how she's been able to use photos to fill in the gap whenever there's low seasons in Arizona. In Arizona during the summer, it gets to be like 150,000 degrees, and so she's not shooting very much, but Social Curator will help her come fill in the gaps with seamless ways to do it. Now let's take a note for Chanel. She is a Social Curator subscriber. Now she's also Miss Universe Canada finalist, and why I was kind of particularly drawn to her account is that her photos are darker, moody, evocative. Now she's taking Social Curator photos and she's editing them on her own, and I'm guessing she's using the Visco, VSCO editing app. And so she's getting the photo and adding her own filters on it to make it look and blend with her feed. So in case you guys are wondering, the photo in the upper left-hand corner and the photo in the lower left-hand corner, if you go to her account, you will see other Social Curator photos there, but she makes them look entirely like her own. And I really like the vibe of what she's doing to stay connected with her audience. So let's take a second and talk about, so what you're seeing me do is like, you're seeing examples of how people have planned out their content based on issue number 1, and I'm gonna bring you up to speed with where we're going at issue number 2. So Celine Kinder, she said that she didn't really need help. She had sent an email to help, and she had said that she saw a massive increase on her engagement, both on Facebook and Instagram. Now, the reason why I'm talking about Celine's specific email is because I received an email or two from other people, and they were talking about, Jasmine, I don't really like the captions where we have to introduce ourselves. Is this going to be a monthly thing? Because it was in the July issue of Social Curator, and it's in the August issue of Social Curator. And I responded to those emails, and I said, yes. There's a vast, the odds are that you are going to get an introduction caption every single month. Why? Because the introduction captions, even though it makes you uncomfortable to talk about yourself, perform the best. Hand over fist, when you introduce yourself to your audience, you will get the most engagement because people are interested in who you are and what you do. Trust me on this. If you have done an introduction post, can I get an amen with people saying that that was a really high performing post? Now, I believe that you should be introducing yourself every single month to your audience because 1, you have new followers in the month, and 2, there's an average that people see on Instagram, only 30% of the photos across the entire platform actually seen. So there's a good chance that you might have introduced yourself last month and the vast majority of your audience didn't see it. So once a month is a really good cadence. So here's an example why. So Celine was amazing. She introduced herself, and then she said her Facebook page alone increased by 223%. That is bananas. Now, here's proof. So this is Celine. I love that she sent a statistic. She's like, Jasmine, this is crazy. Here are the statistics of what actually happened. Now, if you notice, she used a Social Curator caption up at the top. Can I take an opportunity to introduce myself? I've seen a new faces here. So this is what you know, but she has added emojis and she filled in the gaps. Take note that this post reached 28,000 people on Facebook and over 455 people liked this post. That's incredible. And she says it was by far the most engaging post that she's had on her Facebook page. But guess what? It also parlayed over to Instagram as well. So she used a similar photo, if not the same photo, cropped differently. She used the same caption, but she tailored it for Instagram using hashtags and things of that nature. Now, what you'll see here is a look at Celine's Instagram account. Now, she doesn't use Social Curator photos, but she uses the captions to help navigate the conversations based on photos that she knows her audience wants to see. And again, across all that board, the highest performing photo at the point of which she had posted this was her introduction. So in case you guys are wondering, I want you to dive deep into those introductions because it helps put words into understanding the person behind the business. Okay. So we walked through issue 1. You're giving me your questions if you're stuck or a little bit sticky when it comes to planning. Then we showed examples of how people plan their content in advance. We're able to go on vacation. We're able to sit by a pool. And we talked about how people are making Social Curator look and feel like their own. Now let's get into issue number 2. This is actually where I feel like the most value from this conversation is going to happen. We're going to get into some examples. We're going to have some fun. And we're also going to have time for Q&A. I need to take a breath because I'm really nervous and I'm extraordinarily hot. Is there any chance we can turn on the air conditioner? Poor JD. I'm like seriously having heat flashes up in here. Okay, issue number 2, how to use Instagram stories for business growth. Now, if you've dug into issue number 2, and I hope you have because it's the 15th of the month, which means that you've had access to Social Curator for 15 days. I hope that in the last 15 days you've dug in. And in case you haven't, here's a Cliff's Notes version of the types of Instagram stories that you can use for your business. In issue 2, we outline them to be number 1, educational, number 2, promotional, and number 3, behind the scenes. Now, one type of story that I didn't include in this is a personal story. Now, I didn't include personal stories because 1, they're not necessary for business growth if you're using your Instagram account for business growth. Do they help? Yes. But will I talk about them specific from business perspective? No, because each personal story is personal to you. You know what your audience wants to see, and you know what your audience wants to see with frequency. So I'm just going to focus on these 3 types of Instagram stories related specifically to your business. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take a look at a few examples of businesses who are using Instagram stories really well and using it to get more business. So the first type of story that we outlined were promotional. Now, promotional stories are talking to your audience so that they can take an action on behalf of growing your business. And this could mean sign up for my newsletter. This can mean leave a comment on my Facebook page. Join my giveaway. I'm having a sale. I am having a pop-up shop. Pre-sale now. So all of those are promotional stories. Now we have to be very careful with the frequency when we use these stories, but let's break down what promotional stories do and how they work for your business, which we did in issue 1. I gave you a call to action, 3 supporting points, what you want your customers to do and how to introduce it. Now let's take a look at why these work so well. These types of promotional stories are really great because they expire in 24 hours. So this is a perfect place if you want to experiment with new sales or new ideas or gauge interest, because you can give yourself 24 hours to see how your audience responds. If they respond really well, great. And if they don't, that's an indication that maybe you shouldn't take it to market so quick. Let's break this down into an example. Okay, so I think this was late last year on Instagram stories. J. Crew was about to launch a line of sunglasses. Now, it was a whole new line. There were rose-colored rims, rose-colored glasses. Now, before they took the sunglasses to market for mass appeal, they decided to use their Instagram stories as a platform to get people excited, knowing that the event, knowing that the promotion, knowing that these stories were going to expire in 24 hours. So what they did is they went around the J. Crew office and they had their own employees wear the rose-colored sunglasses. And they talked about, each person talked about what they liked or where they would wear it or how they're going to go to the Hamptons and wear the sunglasses. And what the trajectory for that story was people who saw that Instagram story had the opportunity for a pre-sale. Buy your sunglasses now because we know they're going to sell out. So they ran that pre-sale promotion for their business. They sold thousands of sunglasses before the glasses were even taken to market. And everybody who saw that Instagram story felt special. They were the first people to get it. They were the first people being like, I saw it on an Instagram story, and then they're wearing the sunglasses on the Instagram story. That is a classic way to use Instagram stories in a promotional way that makes your audience feel like they got something special for watching it on stories and taking action within 24 hours. Now you might hear this and be like, okay, Jasmine, that's J. Crew. My business ain't no J. Crew. Okay, let's break this down into a small business way. My dear sweet friend, her name is Amy Porterfield. She's smart and she's brilliant and she has a podcast and she teaches people online marketing. Okay, now she wanted to do a giveaway. Now a giveaway is great in that it's promoting her account, and we're going to walk you through exactly how she did this. Now with her permission, I'm going to show you one of her Instagram stories. Now what I don't have are videos of her actually narrating the story, but I'm gonna do that for you and give you a good idea of how it happened. So she got on Instagram stories and she said, hey friends, I want to treat you to a cup of coffee today. That was the video. And then what people saw was this picture next. Do you need coffee this morning? And then when when her audience clicked the next button, they saw this. Have one on me, friend. And then they clicked the next button. The next photo was this. Hashtag coffee on Amy. And what she says, and I'm sure that this gift card is going to run out fast, print or scan this barcode on your phone at participating Starbucks stores. So people who are watching your Instagram stories, who were at a Starbucks or quick to Starbucks, went to Starbucks and were able to get a drink. Okay, a little while later, she says, is this fun or what? Here's a look. Here's a few people who took advantage of my hashtag coffee on Amy. So people who were following Amy's hashtag, she has like 30 or 40,000 followers. So people who are watching her hashtag can click on the coffee with Amy and see other people who are participating with her coffee on Amy hashtag. And this is what resulted. Little Lotus Yoga says, thank you at Amy Porterfield, enjoying your coffee gift all the way up here in Montreal today. So here is a yogi, probably a teacher, instructor of some sort, and she linked to Amy. So all of Little Lotus Yoga's audience can now click to Amy's profile. Amy did a giveaway, but now people are talking about Amy by way of Instagram stories. On a small microcosm, what is she doing that's different? She's connecting, she's giving an audience for other people, she's giving an opportunity for other people's audience to pour back into her account. Let's watch how this happened over again. Now, these are just a few people who were talking about this on the hashtag. This is Karis. I can't read her last name. It says, thank you at Amy Porterfield. So generous, always inspirational. Now, this is somebody who linked back to Amy Porterfield with a cup of coffee. Now, Karis's audience may not know what this is about. They may not even know Amy Porterfield, but here's brand association. Karis describes Amy as generous and inspirational. That right there is one of the most powerful things that you can use and have other people talk about your business on Instagram stories. Let's take another look. This one actually was even up-leveled because you know that stories disappear in 24 hours. This particular follower of Amy's took a picture of her coffee and then updated her Instagram account. So not only did this photo exist on stories, it also existed on Instagram, which now has perpetuity. This post isn't going anywhere. And she says, there I was minding my own business when my dear friend at Amy Porterfield told me and all of her followers to go get a Starbucks on her. This is a powerful way to see how Instagram stories is parlaying to other audiences that get other audiences to pour back into their account. That I thought was really smart. It was a giveaway, but it was promotional for her account, and I think that double dipped in a really cool way. So if you're sitting here being like, okay, I don't have enough money for a Starbucks giveaway, but I am doing a giveaway, or I want to do a giveaway, or I want to do a promotion. Okay, let's see if you can make this slightly more personal. We're going to up-level how people can engage with your promotional content on Instagram stories. What if you were to ask your viewers to use the direct message feature, like, hey, DM me. So if I was having a giveaway and say, hey guys, I'm going to be giving away a book. If you want to get a free book, DM me. Hey guys, I have a free PDF on how to get tips and tricks for whatever. DM me. Why would you want somebody to DM you? Well, if you're not having people engage with you, this would be a really great opportunity to at least start conversations. Because when people cross the barrier of DMing you or leaving a comment or you creating some sort of interaction and engagement, people know you, they like you, and they trust you. And that is all that Instagram stories is ever about when it comes to your business. Every type of story, promotional, educational, behind the scenes, should only ever do three things. Get people to know you, like you, and trust you. Because when they know, like, and trust you, they're going to be more willing to buy from you. And the DM capacity, the DM, like direct message me, up levels. Hey, can I reach out to this person? Hey, is this person real on the other side? Hey, does this person mean what they say? Okay, so now let's get into, and please, y'all, if you have questions, please leave them in the questions box. Like, we're going to dive into them. I want to make sure that you feel really good on taking this to make it your own approach as you use stories in the future. Okay. Educational. Now we're going to get into educational style Instagram stories for business growth. Okay, so I recently did an educational Instagram story, but dumb me, I didn't download the videos. So between each photo that you see now, there was a video giving you a description of what I was teaching you. But because I'm lame and I don't have the videos, I'm actually going to be narrating it the way that I did on Instagram stories. So this is me using an educational story to teach my audience something. So I got on the camera and I said, hey guys, I just recently learned a cool tip and trick on how to change the size of your pen for Instagram stories. I'm going to show you how. Then I showed this video and I said, click on the pen icon in the upper left-hand corner. Then I went back in the video and I said, then what you're going to do is you're going to click on the icon in the lower left corner, the 3 little dots. And what that 3 little dots will bring up is a sliding bar. And what does this sliding bar mean? Well, you can change the size of your pen by sliding the bar up and down. So for instance, the pen is sized to be medium. Now, there were times where I would watch Instagram stories and I would see people with all this cute, pretty writing, and it was so tiny, and I was like, how do I get that? And I actually thought for so long that people were actually using iPhone stylus, like one of those thin little pens to write their stuff. Well, lo and behold, you can change the size of it by bringing that slider down, and now your pen size changes small. Okay, so as I'm writing, as I'm saying this story, right, as I'm going through the stories, I'm getting notifications that I'm getting DMs. Like, so I did the story and I said, choose the pen, choose a slider, and then I would see this DM and people were saying, Jasmine, that's old news. I got another one that says, I can't believe you didn't know that. Even I knew that. And other people were saying, Jasmine, you really should have known about this already. And I'm trying to make my story and I'm reading these DMs as they're coming in, and then I feel like an idiot because half my stories are already done and I'm getting messages from people being like, that's old news. And I was like, I feel really dumb right now. Okay, but this is what happened as a result of that. It was actually a good thing. So I'm going through the stories and I'm reading a DM, I'm recording myself on my phone, and I was like, hey, somebody just DM'd me and said this is old news. But hey, it's not old news for me, so if it's not old news for you, just let me know. It was in passing, and it was like a nervous, like it was literally like a knee-jerk nervous thing, like, oh my God, I feel so stupid, but my story's already out there, so I'm just gonna own it. Unbeknownst to me, because I flippantly asked for feedback, I got so many messages, like I got so many DMs because people were saying, hey, that might be like old news for some people, but it was new for me. Other people being like, I didn't know that. Or other people just being like, who cares what people think? Do you. And it gave me an opportunity to respond to every single DM that I got back. And what does that do? When you respond, it makes people know you, like you, and trust you. When you respond, those 3 things happen, and the minute that you become real in their minds and off Instagram, higher likelihood to translate them into customers. Okay, now we're gonna get into the final aspect of how to use Instagram stories for your business, and we're gonna talk about getting in behind the scenes. In my opinion, I think that these are so extraordinarily powerful, but I don't see them leveraged as much. But I will say that I find myself watching behind the scenes stories intently. So behind the scenes, this could be, well, let's walk you through a little bit what that looks like. Because you wanna share an inside look into your creative process. Now, when you do that, people feel like they know what you're doing, they know how you're doing it, and because of that, it makes them trust you. If they like how you work, they will likely like the end product. So what does like behind the scenes look like? Well, it depends on your business, but it could be anything from sketching. I know of a watercolor painter where she goes outside, she sits in her yard and she sketches like birds that land on her grass, or like little nests and little nests with eggs in it. And she sketches that and she adds watercolor, and all done on Instagram stories. And then when she sells it in a book, people feel like they were part of that process. Journaling, even if you're like, oh, I don't sell anything that's visual. Well, take a picture of your journal and like, how do you journal? What types of pens do you use? Do you like coffee, tea, anything that gives a behind the scenes look? Team members, do you work with other people? Have them do stories introducing themselves, or you say, hey, this is Joni, she does our shipping and delivering. And hey, if you've ever had a support ticket, this is Connie, she takes care of that. I will tell you that behind the scenes, well, I listed here storage room. Now you might think, Jasmine, that's the dumbest thing. Who the heck wants to look at a storage room? I do. I follow a company called Bando on Instagram, and the owner was just like, I'm gonna give you guys a tour of our storage room. And it was really small, it wasn't very big. but they sell like notebooks and pens and magnets and backpacks, like all this cute little wonky weird stuff. I walked in, isn't that weird? Do you see how I said I walked in? I didn't walk in. She took her camera into the storage room that made me feel like I was walking into the storage room, and they showed how they organize all their pens and their notebooks, and she climbed a ladder to go up to the top shelf. I found it fascinating for no other reason than, oh, I've ordered things from this company. Now I know where they get it. So weird, but still so valuable. Also, do you use shipping? Share how you ship it. I saw this one Instagram story, because you know how oftentimes people will receive a box and they open the box and then they take things out in the way that it was packaged. This company decided to say, we're not going to show you how we unpackage a box. We're going to show you how we package a box. So then they laid the stuffing and then the product, they tied a bow and they added a personal note and they added the stuffing and they taped it and they said, we're going to be shipping it out today. I thought it was so fascinating. Now, progress updates. If you do big projects, and this is a thing that I hear a lot from people, big, hey, I'm an artist, or I'm a sculptor, or I'm a home decorator. It takes me so long to do a before and after. Instagram stories is so perfect to keep people up to date on the progress. Now, I'm gonna show you an example of somebody I think really does it extraordinarily well. Her name is Lindy Galloway, and she's an interior designer. Now, if you look at Lindy Galloway's, and I know her personally, and I told her that I was going to be using it as an example, and I also told her that these are the things that I was going to say, so I'm not talking trash. I think that if you were to look at Lindy's Instagram profile, she has, I don't know, tens of thousands of followers, is that it's easy to look at her profile and think, that's so beautiful, that's so perfect, it's so unattainable. But I think that because she has this beautifully curated feed and she's wildly talented, that when she shows her Instagram stories, it shows her less than perfect side. It shows her as she's sourcing the stuff. It shows how long the process is. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to show you an example of one of her stories right now.
We are starting a new project today, so we're heading to one of our favorite tile shops, Famosa, to pick a bunch of tile, and we will show you what you find. Look at these amazing wood options, and we are thinking about using one on a fireplace, specifically this one. It's so awesome, very mid-century modern, very unique.
Cool. So what we just saw there was a span of her creating behind the scenes content, and then later on she's going to be showing how she implements those things, but it's a week at a time, weeks at a time, as she's bring her audience with her. So what you can see on her Instagram profile is a lot of after photos. This right here is taking people through the process, giving behind the scene. Now I'm going to show you one more story of hers, but I want you to pay special attention for two things. One, how she asks a question, and two, how she responds to questions. I'm going to get into that right now.
It's Tuesday, as if like you had no clue. Anyways, on Tuesdays, I do some job site check-ins, and we have one project that is cruising along so good, and we have some that are like slow as molasses. Anyways, I'm going to take you to the one that's got some fun progress. This is the balcony off of the guest bedrooms, and it is looking so good. Love the shingles, love the tongue and groove ceiling, and I'm thinking about some Serena and Lily swings out here. What do you guys think? Can you see it? Okay, I know I've shown you before, but I have to show you again. I just am obsessed with this tile that is in the upstairs deck powder room. What do you think? I'm getting a lot of questions about these sunglasses, and just wanted to tell you guys they're not super affordable. They're like really expensive from Forever 21. But I did get them a little while ago, so you might not be able to get your hands on them.
Okay, so halfway through that story, she said, I'm thinking about getting some Serena and Lily lounge chairs out here on the deck. Now, Serena and Lily is kind of like an higher end upscale outdoor furniture place here in Newport Beach and Lido Island. And so what she's essentially saying is that she's demarcating her level of taste, the type of budget, and the clients that she's working with, right? So she says, what do you think about having something like that? So she's inviting conversations to have people weigh in. Yes, Serena and Lily would look great out there, or no, it would not, or whatever. She's inviting people in. And even though in spite of that question, the question that she got asked the most was a personal question. where did you get your sunglasses? Which I found really fascinating. And I thought that she did it really well. She had the opportunity to ignore those questions or answer the question in a way that made her business look and feel a lot more approachable. Her glasses were from Forever 21. They were somewhere in the ballpark of $9.99 to $14.99. So she went from being this like really great high-end designer to a girl who wears $10 sunglasses, making her more relatable, building trust, and having likability. Now, she might not be likable. You might watch this and be like, I can't stand this girl. That's no problem, because there are a group of people who look at her videos and think, I could work with her. I trust her. I know her. I like that she shares where she gets her sourcing materials from, and they feel connected. So this is a really good look at a behind the scenes story that kind of takes off that shine. Your Instagram profile has the ability to make you look and feel like life is beautiful and perfect and picture perfect. Well, stories have a way of like kind of making you look like you are a little bit more down to earth. Okay, so before we get into Q&A, I know we have a lot of Q&A going there, and good, it's 4:30. I'm gonna get into 30 minutes of Q&A to make sure that we are dialed into those questions. I wanna give you guys a sneak peek. So in issue 3 that drops on September 1st, we are going to chat about how you can revive your Facebook page in 30 days. Yes, you are going to get a 30-day action plan on how to revive your business page or your fan page. Now, every single day for 30 days, you are going to have a plan of action to do something, to breathe life into our desperately needed pages. Because yes, I want you to get more followers, but before you get followers, let's talk about how to get engagement, how to revive your efforts. And in issue number 4, dropping on October 1st, we are calling it Hooray for Hashtags. This is going to be a comprehensive guide on how to find hashtags, how to use the right hashtags, how to create the right combinations, and how to get discovered on hashtags. So all of your questions will be answered. So we're working through all those. We're excited. We already have November and December in the queue. I'm not going to talk too much about them because they're a labor of love, and I want to speak specifically to those. But know that throughout the remainder of the year, we have some really good things in store. Okay, let's dive into your questions and answers. I'm going to talk really fast so that I can get through them as many as possible. But quick thing that I want to note is that this class is slated to go from 4 to 5 p.m. If there is a chance for any of you to stay an extra 15 minutes, I'm going to ask you questions specifically related to Social Curator. Why? I want to make it better. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you want. I want to know what you want to see. I want to know what's lacking, because we want to make sure that you are on this journey with us. What can we do better? What do you want more of? What's the thing that you're like, Jasmine, toss it. Okay, let me get out of this. Let me go full screen and dial right in. Okay. Great. All right. We're all in. Jay, are we good? Can you see the me on camera? Great. Okay. Let's dive right in. I think I'm already losing my voice because I'm excited. Okay, Raquel, Jasmine, where do you plan out your social media post game plan? Do you write it down on a physical planner or electronically? How does that look? Raquel, I'm probably the worst person to ask this question because I plan out my month loosely, right? So you now know how I plan my month in advance. That was on issue number 1. So I will say I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to be here. So for instance, JD and I are going to go to Palm Springs from Sunday to Tuesday. We're going to be shooting for Social Curator. So I knew at the beginning of the month that those 3 days I was going to be taking and posting photos from Palm Springs. So in the back of my mind, I've already denoted in my calendar where I'm going to be and what places, and then I make a note in my Google Calendar to post a photo from that particular place. Now for things that I'm planning in advance, I'm a big fan of Planoly. Now Planoly does not post to Instagram for you. Planoly is just a way to see things visual, and then we'll send you a reminder like, hey Jasmine, hey Raquel, you should be posting a photo right now. And you get to plan everything out, look at it, and then be prepared for that day in advance. Okay. Elizabeth Falk, I never saw the calendar, only the weekly planning. Elizabeth, can you email help@mysocialcurator.com and we'll send that calendar to you, most definitely. You wanna make sure that you have that. Bella, Jasmine, what are your thoughts on Instagram pods? Bella, I did a complete and comprehensive blog post on this. If you go to jasminestarblog.com and you search Instagram pods, you'll see exactly the breakdown of why I feel the same way that I do. However, I'm gonna give you like the straight shot version of it. Is Instagram pods, I've seen them not work more than I've actually seen them work. Why? Because Instagram pods are really only effective. So the algorithm on Instagram usually measures. Now we don't know exactly how much time. It could be 10 minutes of engagement. It could be an hour. It could be 3 hours of engagement on Instagram for the algorithm to measure how effective that photo is doing. Now your Instagram pods, the reason why a pod could work is that you send a DM or a Facebook message or a text message to everybody in your pod. Now they have to respond almost immediately so that you can actually get momentum within the algorithm. And in the beginning, everybody's excited. But there are some people in the pod who post like 3 or 4 times a day, and then there's some people in the pod who post like 2 times a week. So the person who's not really active on Instagram has to go back and be really active on Instagram when they're otherwise not. Or they just won't be active at all. And then all of a sudden when they post, they tell the other people, hey, you should come post on my post. It becomes a very tit for tat. It's not exactly all that healthy. And most of the time people feel like that their participation is weighted more. And so it's really hard to make them effective across the board. And I personally think that Instagram and Facebook are really smart. I just, for some reason, I have no proof in the pudding, but I feel like Instagram knows that pods exist and they're actively working against pods because they don't want to like artificially enhance a post that's not necessarily engaging. So those are my ideas. If you want to read it in detail, you can go to jasminestarblog.com and search Instagram pods. You'll see the whole breakdown for that. That's Johnston. Planning for a month is hard for me. I like spontaneity in my post. How do I get around this? Beth, God bless you. I'm going to tell you that I will save you a lot of stress if you meet me in the middle. Can you plan a week of content in advance? I feel like the thing that really gets people caught up is not having the right content, not having the right words to say, but at least you don't have to plan everything day by day by day in the week, but at least if you say, Monday I'm gonna post a picture of this, Tuesday this, Wednesday that, so then at least in your mind you know where you're going and you know the right words to say. The thing that I always wanna caution business owners is even if you have the right photo, right? Like I'm gonna post a picture of my dog, and you say, that's what I'm posting on Wednesday, and then all of a sudden you post a picture of your dog on Wednesday, and then you feel totally stuck because you're like, what do I say about this photo? And then you ruminate for like 10 minutes. And then you go and you search like the hashtag for your dog or the hashtags for that particular dog, like if you have a Chihuahua. And the next thing you know, you're on like the search panel of Instagram, and then you wake up and you're like 25 minutes later, you still don't have a comment and you just like, or a caption, you just throw something on there. That's the most ineffective way to do social media. So planning always saves time and gives you vision. So I hope you kind of at least at minimum plan a week in advance, have your captions ready, know what you're doing so that you feel confident moving forward for that week. Tara, in future editions, will you have options that aren't all on white backgrounds? My grid is darker, moodier in nature, and while I love the photos you've styled, they would mega stand out on my grid. You feel me? Tara, I do. And we debated this going into Social Curator heavily because we understand that not everybody has bright and airy photos. I did show an example of Chanel. If you were going to be getting this video as a replay, so you can go back and look at Chanel's profile. Now, she has gotten bright and airy photos and edited them so that they're darker and moodier, even if they're on a white background. Now, I have to understand that I cannot take photos that are going to appeal to everybody. But no, we are working on that, which is why we're going to start taking photos more in outdoor locations or in mixed locations to kind of see which photos are performing well. Now, here's the thing, Tara. I want you to know that Social Curator is entirely democratic. In fact, we pay a monthly subscription for an analytics tool. So every issue, we get to see which photo was downloaded the most, because we know that the photo that was downloaded the most is an indication of what people want to see more of. So if we start posting and sharing kind of like darker or moodier photos, or maybe photos that aren't on a white background, and we notice that people are not downloading them, then democracy rules. We're gonna go back to the white. But if we start seeing that there's a bigger demand for that type of imagery, then we'll lean heavily more into that direction. And it always just depends on who's downloading what and when. But thank you for that. I hear you. Tina, what kind of tags would you use with the introduction? I'm sorry, Tina. What kind of tags would you use with the introducing yourself post? It depends on what you do. Like if you're a photographer, you want to name the niche of your photography: pet photography, dog photography, portrait photography, wedding photography. You can also use tags that are geographic specific to you. So like Atlanta graphic designer, Destin baby photographer, right? So you can use these things, and you can also use it according to your niche or whatever it is you do. So like social media marketing, online entrepreneur, girl boss, right? So you're gonna start finding these hashtags, and in issue number 4, we're gonna get into that heavily. So know that that is coming. But if you're kind of like stuck and you're like, okay, I think I have 3 hashtags that I can use. Well, what I want you to go is I want you to go to Instagram.com, and right in the middle of the page at the top, if you go on your desktop, or if you go into the search icon there in Instagram, you put hashtag, whatever that hashtag is. So let's just say that you are a dog walker. So you can put hashtag dog walker, and then it'll give you a list of other related hashtags, which I have found to be extraordinarily helpful, because those are like, so for instance, there was a time where I was posting coffee photos. So I went to Instagram and I looked up hashtag coffee lover, hashtag coffee and books. And then all of a sudden I got all these other hashtags, and I created a list of hashtags specifically for coffee and drinking and books. Let's see, Clement, do you think there is different approaches of caption/tags between English and other languages? French, in my case. I will give you an example. In English, you can usually use hashtag the town wedding photographer. In French, we can write it 3 or 4 different ways, and none of them are actually used by potential clients. What do? Forget the French and use only English? Okay, Clement, there's like 3 questions in here that we need to dismantle. Let's start with the most basic one. You said forget the French and use only English. I want you to use the language where your ideal client, where your target market is using. So if you are shooting French brides, then you should speak in French. Now, if you're trying to target American brides getting married in France, well, then you should be using English or whatever the popular lingua franca is, wherever that is, according to your demographic. Now, I want to tell you that, yes, hashtags and social media across the board are used a lot more prevalently in the United States. It was created in the United States, it took off in the United States, but it's also growing quickly in Europe and in other countries. Now, I would encourage you to still use hashtags, even though they're not all that popular in France right now. I have no doubt that they will become more popular with time, and how wonderful would it be for you to be the leader in being found in hashtags. Now, your last question is, in French, we can write a particular town photographer or whatever in 3 or 4 different ways. We can do the same thing here in the United States. So for instance, there was a time where I was using wedding photography hashtags. So the hashtag wedding photographer, that's like way too broad. It has millions of hashtags. And so I didn't find that it was effective for me. Like a bride who's going through that hashtag, it's being updated so often that my post would totally get lost. So I started using geographic and location specific hashtags. So for instance, I would use Los Angeles wedding photographer. And then I would write LA wedding photographer. And then Los Angeles wedding photos, LA wedding photos, Los Angeles wedding photo, LA wedding photo. So what I just did is I created 6 different, was that 6 or was that 8? I'm a homeschooler, I couldn't keep track. But I was creating all these different variations because I don't know how prospective brides in Los Angeles are searching for wedding photographers. So I wanted to have all of my bases covered. So that's the thing that I want to lean into is 1, you're not alone. 3, even though people aren't using hashtags specifically where you're located in France, still continue to use them because all you're doing is creating an opportunity to get discovered. That is it. Okay, there are so many questions and I'm doing my best to keep up. Okay, Jesselyn, 1, not 100% sure how to ask this question. Once you decide to test your photos for the month, to view them in a grid formation for Instagram, are there apps for this so that we can arrange by how they look best? Yes, Jesselyn, check out Planoly. That's gonna be amazing. Number 2, traveling abroad for 2 weeks. For my daily posts, can they all be from my travels? Traveling, food, and family are a few of my categories. Should I still incorporate other categories while I'm there, like business and related wedding photos? My answer is yes, because we understand that your Instagram account is related to business and wedding photography. So then all of a sudden, if you go away for 2 weeks and those posts are nothing related to what you're sharing, people could be like, oh, this is not what I'm expecting. So if I were you, I would incorporate over 2 weeks for sure. Now, if you go somewhere for like 4 or 5 days, you can kind of get away with that. Anything more than that, then I would start definitely incorporating the types of posts that people are coming to expect from you. Let's see. On a shoot day for the month of content, do you double up on your professional camera and your iPhone, or is this pointless? I do not double up. I will shoot whatever photos with the camera I have on me, either my iPhone or my professional camera. Let's see. My super weird photographer brain keeps thinking I'm taking and using somebody else's photos. In the month of using a few social curator photos, I've had 3 messages from clients asking if this is my image and freaking out because other people are using it without giving me credit. This is an awkward conversation for a photographer. What would you say when this happens? Okay, one, let's take a step back. And before I answer this question, I have to be very honest with you. What happens on Instagram is 20% of Instagram users create 80% of the content that is shown on Instagram. So what does it say? It shows that there's a very small amount of people who are creating content that gets repurposed again and again and again across the platform. So the fact that you're using other photos that you yourself did not create is part of the course on social media. But still, that doesn't make you feel any better. I just want you to kind of get out of that photographer world, because in the photographer world, everybody creates their own content, and that's great, and I applaud it. And in fact, I give you prompts for you to create your own photos. If you want to do that, rock on. If people are asking, did you take this photo? I would respond with, this is a curated photo. I happen to love it, and I hope you like it too. So you're not saying I didn't take the photo. You're not saying it's a stock photo from Social Curator. You're not saying, oh, I can't believe they used your photo. It's just a curated photo that I loved, and I hope you like it too. You can end it like that. So you shouldn't feel scared. But if you do feel scared and it doesn't resonate with you, hey, take all your own photos and you do you, boo. Okay. Jess, not sure if anyone asked this already, but oh, great. Answer that question. Danielle, hi, I have a brand that sells perfume and candles, so I'm promoting a brand that has products and not myself. So can you give recommendations on how to best use these? Danielle, girl, let me be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you that what makes your perfume and candles amazing is the quality of them, of how you brand them, of how you run a business. But what makes it even more awesome is the ideology behind the candles, the person behind the candles, the team behind the candles, the values behind the candles. So using Social Curator to implement that. Now, because you sell perfume and candles, you may have an excess of photos. You might have so many photos that you're like, oh, I have so many photos. Great. If you have a lot of photos and you don't want to use the photos that come included with your collection, no biggie. You can actually use the caption templates with a photo of your products, your perfume or your candles, and use it as a way to start conversations. Because if you are always posting pictures of your perfume and then a candle, perfume, candle, buy the perfume, buy the candle, buy the perfume, buy the candle, it gets boring and nobody's gonna engage. But if you could talk about the process behind creating the candle, if you could talk about how you create, how did you start this business, what inspired you to create your business, introduce teammates for your business, all of a sudden your account becomes social, which is the key to social media. Social media, it's not selling media, right? Those are just commercials. This is social media. So Social Curator is intended to help you become social with the content that you're producing. I'm definitely losing my voice. I am so sorry. Okay. Miriam, I find I'm stuck. I'm a painting artist and find my photos look so different to those provided by Social Curator. Does it matter if I don't have a unique look with my Instagram? Miriam, that is totally up to you to answer. Some people are okay with having a grid in a feed that doesn't look entirely matchy-matchy, and other people are not. You know what your audience wants to see. Now, if it makes you uncomfortable, do not use the photos. If you are a painter and you take pictures of your painting, well, then you probably have lots of options, and you might not have to use the photos that are included in here. Maybe your audience doesn't want to see photos of like peaches or berries or a beach landscape. Maybe they don't want to see that. But you can always, one, test the waters and see how they respond, or two, use the captions as a foundation to start talking about your paintings from a personal perspective. There are a lot of options. A lot of the subscribers on Social Curator are not using the photos. What they find the most difficult on social media is finding out what to say. So after talking to a lot of subscribers, they have used the captions in far more frequency than the photos. So you get to know your audience and test what works best. Okay. Jillian, I have all my categories, but I'm having trouble getting how to rotate through them. It feels like some should be posted about more than others. Jillian, great question. So let's say, Jillian, you want to post 20 times in the month. And let's say you have 10 categories. Mathematically, that would mean that you can post 2 photos in every category to reach your 20 posts for the month. But let's just say you don't want to put equal value on like coffee photos to product photos. If then that's the case, why not post 3 product photos, 1 coffee photo? There's no rules in how many times. The reason why we create categories is, number 1, to not get overwhelmed. Number 2, create continuity within our feed. And number 3, educate your audience with what they should come to expect from you. Now, if for you, posting pictures of your business, let's say you're a photographer, of the photos that you're creating comes with more frequency, great, no problem. That's one of your categories. Now, I would caution you to do 98% of one category and then 2% to all the other categories. But no, it doesn't mean that every category should be weighted the same. You get to determine the frequency of what your audience wants to see more of. Fantastic question. Okay, Andrea of Andrea Photo. What if you're all alone in your business and spend your time at the computer? It's hard to engage while you're mostly in your office doing back work. I feel like I only want to do stories when I'm actually out and about shooting stuff and doing interesting things. Andrea, that's really good, and I get it, but you can do Instagram stories where you don't even have to be on camera. Like you could say you could say, I'm in my office and this is where I store my camera gear. And this is how I clean my camera gear. That's like one story that you can do in a day. You don't have to do makeup for that. Another thing would be like, okay, well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning and I needed to get out of my office, so I'm walking to my favorite coffee shop. And it's just you walking to the coffee shop, and they say, this is my favorite drink. It's a chai latte. And then you have your chai latte and a journal. That could be the story for the day. You don't have to be on camera. You could even just talk about on your way, maybe the day before a photo shoot. Be like, okay, so this is how I prepare for a photo shoot. I make sure I have a bottle of water and bobby pins and deodorant, or whatever. Maybe you don't want to talk about deodorant, but whatever. So basically the stories don't actually have to always be like, my life is so cool. In fact, it makes you really relatable. I would be a little bit nervous to hire a photographer who was never working, right? Living the high life, and all of a sudden I'm waiting for my photos to be like, hey, you shouldn't be out in Ibiza, you should be editing my photos. So it's okay to be at work, and it's okay to have a boring life, because that's real life, and people resonate with real more than a fake unrealness on social media, because people smell it. Okay, I'm losing my voice. Dave asked, would it be possible for Jasmine to create would it be possible for you to create a few male-oriented photos on social Curator? Most seem for women, and it would be great to have 1 or 2 photos per month that are masculine and would work for guys. Dave, we feel you, boo. We feel you. Okay, we focused on making September a little bit more gender neutral. So we noticed in the past that we were using a lot of pinks, and guys were like, hey, yo, Jasmine, pink's just not for my brand. Got it. We focused on September to make it slightly more gender neutral. In October, what we're shooting for is to create at least 2 photos that are not for men, but aren't for women. Because we can see what, ridiculously, society has denoted pink as female and blue for male or whatever. But we understand that not everybody is as feminine. So we're gonna try testing the waters. This has been going, Dave. I want you to know that we are thinking about this. We are putting pedal to the metal, and we're trying to do layouts that would appeal to a broader audience, but still staying true, because I have to understand that the vast majority of our users are female. That's who I seem to attract, but I also know that I wanna broaden my horizons for entrepreneurs, period. So I got your back. We're working on that. So be sure to watch specifically in October. Give me feedback in September. I want to hear directly from you saying what worked, what didn't work, and so that we can dial it in for October. We're working towards that, boo. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Amanda, can we watch a replay for this? I had to grab my kids from school and I jumped on late. Yes, Amanda, you can. For those of you guys who are here, you guys are getting replay links. Maggie, my mentor wants me to start doing more short videos, like Snapchat stories, in my actual feed. Says video grabs more attention. I should be doing that over posting pictures and words, but it makes my feed look messy. Advice, please. I'm an online health consultant, holistic nurse practitioner. Maggie, thank you for that information. I think Instagram stories is perfect for this type of content, like specifically so perfect, because you don't have to worry about making your grid look ugly and unattainable. Now, what I've noticed is I follow a few yoga instructors on Instagram. And I personally think that photos do a better job at showing things in like static nature, like say like a yoga pose. But on Instagram stories, they'll be posting them moving through their rotations and their poses and their postures. And every so often when a particular photo is really well lit or it's done really well or it's beautiful or it's on brand, then they'll put that onto their feed. So Instagram stories to me is a wonderful testing ground to see what your audience wants to see more of. And then if all of a sudden you're in good light and it matches with your feed, then you can use that video and import it into your Instagram feed and grid and have it sit there for perpetuity. Other than that, I do not believe that video does better than photo on Instagram. It does on Facebook, period, the end. But Instagram was created as a photo platform. Now, that's not to say that video doesn't do well. It does extraordinarily well. But studies have shown that people are not, they're maybe watching like 3 or 4 seconds of a video and then scrolling on. It's not like they're fully invested in it. I wouldn't say across the board, do videos or your Instagram's gonna die. No, do videos if it is right. But do Instagram stories to test what your audience wants to see more of. Hand over fist, stories, test, and then parlay that over to your Instagram grid. Yaritza, how about shadow banning on hashtags? Will you cover that in the October issue for Hooray for Hashtags? I will. Got your bet. Sabrina, Jasmine, advice to use Social Curator as a girl in direct sales, essential oils. Okay, Sabrina, there are going to be some photos on Social Curator that work really well. And then there's going to be photos that don't. It just is what it is. Like, how do you incorporate essential oils into wine, right? However, you can talk about wine maybe on a Friday when you're not talking, because you don't always want to talk about essential oils. You want to have a little bit of a mix. But let's say, for instance, in the July issue, we had a floaty, and it was like a little swan floaty with a drink in it, right? That doesn't have anything to do with essential oils, but that caption that was related to that photo was like, if I was trapped on a desert island, a desert island? Yeah, a deserted island. Wow. If I was stuck on a deserted island, I would take these 3 things. Well, you can incorporate your essential oils. Be like, I would take peppermint for like my sunburn, and I would take thieves so I don't get sick, and I would take lavender so I could sleep at night amongst all the bugs, whatever. Right? Or you can make a caption entirely your own and be like, hey, moms out there, sometimes kids don't want to wear sunblock, but if you put 2 drops of this essential oil into sunblock, it makes the application go on easier. Whatever, I'm making this stuff up. But what I want you to do is to look at the photos and say, how can I incorporate this into what I'm talking about? And for instance, there is, in the August issue, there's a photo that says very good news. Well, are there essential oils that are good, acts like antioxidants the way that berries are? So what I want you to do is look at a photo and say, how does this go back to what I'm selling? And if it doesn't, then you have the option, do I use this to talk about myself and my business in a personal capacity, or do I just pass on entirely? You have that option, but I want you to start thinking a little bit more tricky, a little bit more fun, a little bit more funky when it comes back to essential oils. Let me know if that helps. Okay, it is 2 minutes to 5. So I'm gonna answer one more question, and then for those of you guys who can and want to stay on and answer a few questions, I would be so indebted. Okay. Excuse me. Brio, I'm wondering if Jasmine can tell us why she prefers a personal account rather than a business Instagram account. Ooh-wee. We're gonna end there. Really, Brio? Really, we're gonna go there right now? That's a long question. I actually did a blog post about this. If you go to jasminestarblog.com and you search Instagram business account, you'll find this blog post. But let me just tell you, it is all speculative why I do not have a business account. But let me tell you why I don't. When Facebook bought Instagram, the writing was on the wall that Facebook was going to turn Instagram into a mini Facebook. So what did Facebook do with fan pages? They gave all this organic traffic. They gave all this impressions. They would highlight Facebook pages a lot in the news feed. And then what happened in February? Facebook put the kibosh. Once enough people were on Facebook, once enough people were paying attention to fan pages, and what the heck am I saying? And once enough pages started getting a lot of free marketing attention, Facebook said, no more. We're truncating organic reach. No more. You're not going to get free marketing. You're going to have to pay to market, which is why so many people are complaining, like, nobody's seeing my posts. On average, Facebook pages were getting between 8 and 12% engagement on any organic post. So you post something out on Facebook, 12% of your audience could see it. That's it. Just because you're awesome, right? Now, with the algorithm, that has brought that number down to 3%, 4%. So if you want your post to be seen, you have to pay for it. And in my opinion, that is exactly what's going to happen with Instagram. Instagram is going to make business pages pay to be seen. Your business page, speculation, okay? This is just me, like maybe I should be wearing a tin hat and saying the aliens are coming. But what I think is going to happen is that once Instagram gets big enough, they're going to start making business pages pay for that attention. However, Instagram is so smart because they are incentivizing how business owners are using Instagram. So everybody wants that swipe up feature, right? And it works, except for the fact that you gotta pay to play. Once you have that swipe up feature, you cannot, like once you change to a business account and you go back to a personal account, your account has already been indexed as a business account. Instagram already knows how you're using it. So I have yet to switch over. And even though I want that swipe up feature so bad, it's not gonna be enough like next year when the algorithm changes, or 2 years when the algorithm changes, and I still have personal account organic reach versus business account organic reach. I will think in the long run, this is the game that I wanna play. That's the answer. I know it's not all that popular. Okay. Excuse me, I lost my dang voice. Okay, it is 5:01. I took an hour from y'all. I just want to say thank you. I adore you guys. I appreciate you so, so, so much. Now, there's a couple questions that I want to ask, and I have the team looking at the answers, and if all goes well, I can actually print out what people are saying on this actual chat. So what I would love to know is, number one, what do you find most valuable? Do you find that the photos are the most valuable, the captions are the most valuable, or the action plan is the most valuable? Kind of like ruminate and think about that. When I know what you're finding more value in, I can pour more time, energy, and quite honestly, money into creating those types of things. You what? Oh, hang on. I just got a message that the chat was disabled. We're gonna turn on the chat right now so that you guys can respond with your answers. So question number one is, what do you find the most valuable? Do you find photos most valuable, captions most valuable, or the action plan? And now the chat box is open, so thank you guys so much for that. Okay, cool. I see what you guys are writing. I'm gonna go back and I'm going to dig into this heavily. Also, question number two, what would you like to see more of, specifically when it comes to photos? Because right now we're testing the waters. We're creating content specifically for the month that we're launching it. So in September, it's officially the last month of summer. So I might include, or actually there was include one like pool water photo, and then one photo that could kind of resonate with, like, we wanted to give you an option for Labor Day if it's an American holiday. Like, we want to make sure that we're thinking in advance of creating conversations that are pertaining to where you are. But this is us purely guessing on what that is. So question number one is, what do you find most valuable? Captions, action plan, or photos? Question number two, what do you want to see more of? Specifically, what kind of, are there more captions that you think work better? And the more specific, excuse me, sorry guys. And the more specific you are with what you want, the more we can figure out, can we do this? And also that comes for captions, what's working well, what's not working well. And then for photos, what more photos do you want to see more of? We can, like, I know that the gentleman who asked, Dave, I know that Dave is not alone in asking for more male photos, but I need to make sure that I'm hearing from the audience in that level of propensity. We have considered, now we're not sure if this is gonna work. We have considered creating either like a VIP package where only a certain amount of people get those photos. we've kind of debated that. Like if people are so worried about other people using their photos, then maybe paying a little bit extra to get photos that only a small group of people can get. Or we're maybe thinking about creating niches, right? So we have like a health and wellness niche where people like health and wellness, they probably don't want to post pictures of donuts and wine. You know what I'm saying? So we're trying to think of health and wellness, like they would probably appreciate more photos of like quinoa and like kale and stuff like that. We're really trying to find out what our audiences want, how much time we should be denoting. But I will say that although niches are being asked for, I have to understand that Social Curator, it's impossible. We can't be everything to everyone, right? And I have to look at Social Curator as like, I'm viewing Social Curator as a magazine. So when you walk into a bookstore or when you order a magazine, you know what you're getting. You know that they're going to be targeting a very specific person with the types of photos, with the types of writing, with the types of imagery, with the types of curation. And I have to understand that Social Curator is going to be for a very specific business owner. Now, obviously, I want to help as many people as possible, which is why we're getting this. But I also understand that I can't have like 30 different niches, right? So we're going to focus on, if we do move into niches, which I see a lot of people responding to, can you let me know what niche you're in? Like, is it health and wellness? Or like, I know that we have a lot of representation from holistic coaches and people who sell essential oils. I seem to attract a lot of yoga instructors, which is freaking a big honor to me. Like, namaste. Like, yeah, I mean, that's like an honor. And so they have told me that they're not really using photos that are dealing with like alcoholic beverages. And I get that. So this would be great. We also, okay, yes, spiritual niches, crystal chakras. Okay, we get that. Now, another thing, as we're moving along and we talk about niches, I reached out to a few people who are in the health and wellness sphere, and I asked for ideas like, hey, what kind of photos would you want to see? And the feedback I got was great, but it's also not sustainable. So it's like people would say as yoga instructors, oh, Jasmine, I really love pictures of yoga mats or like a yoga band or like a yoga block. And I'm like, okay, but am I going to take a picture of a yoga mat every month? Like, how many times can I shoot a yoga block? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times can I shoot things along that nature? So again, the more specific you are with what you guys are looking for, JD, was there any other feedback that we had discussed for those particular questions? Like, this was just for feedback. Okay, cool. So those were the three main questions, which was, what do you find most valuable? The captions, photos, the action plan. What do you want to see more of in regards to captions and regards to photos? And lastly, if you do want a niche to be represented, what would that niche be? Those three questions will really help guide us. Now, I'm really happy and proud to say that we're staying ahead of the game. We're already completing what's happening in October, but as we move towards the end of the year, I want to make sure that our content is really focused on what people want. Now, again, I can't be everything to all people, but I will do my best to make sure that you are seen and that you are being serviced in a way that's really valuable to you. But I will say that even if you aren't using all of the photos, or even if the photos don't work well with your particular feed, I stand behind the captions and the way that they're written to foster engagement, as well as the action plan. A lot of times we find social media really difficult because we just don't really know what we're doing and we don't want to waste time doing something that doesn't work. The best thing about the action plan is that I'm ultimately teaching you how to grow your business so that a year from now, 8 months from now, you look back and be like, wow, this has been really great for me. So for those of you guys who stuck on for this additional 10 minutes, I appreciate you very, very, very much. I see that there are people who are still writing. So one person said, Miriam, can you clarify? You had asked for more realistic type photos, not styled. Great, I hear you. But can you explain, and this is the thing that I have to be very careful with, because people say not styled, and everybody has their own definition of what not styled is. So Miriam, can you let me know what not styled means to you? Heck, if anybody else wants to answer that question, that'd be great. Raquel, thank you so much. Oh yeah, okay, so some people don't like the fact that there have been some photos with the words, like certain words in them. That's okay, we're changing that as we move forward. We'll make sure that we're hearing to the audience. Or, you know, and there's also a lot of time and ability for you to change them and make them your own. So please know that it's there. Tina, you just wrote a very long comment. I will go back and read that. Thank you so much for really working through that. You guys, this is like so helpful to me. You have no idea. I totally geek out on organization. I totally geek out on stats. Like, I'm stat driven 100%. The numbers do the talking. So the numbers and the feedback do the talking. So this has been really great. Sarah, quotes and writing and creativity. We have that coming. We're working on for that. If you guys actually saw my Instagram story today, I commissioned a local hand letter writer to write some inspirational quotes and inspirational words on certain cards. So again, I'm using Instagram stories for promotional purposes, but getting people excited. Do you see how I did that? Hey, okay. Oh yeah, Stephanie says you love Holly Siori. I do too. She's wildly talented. She actually had one of her quotes featured on a t-shirt that was sold at Macy's, and I was just like, I gotta go buy that t-shirt. Just a big fan of what she's doing, so that's been great. Let's see. Styled. So Anna said styled, mint topping on an ice cream bowl, extra cones. Not styled, a bowl of ice cream. So you basically, people prefer a bowl of ice cream instead of a bowl of ice cream with cones and mint on top. Okay. Okay. To be honest, I love the idea, Anna, but I have to say, like, part of what Social Curator aims to do is to create a beautiful photo that stops people in their scrolling. And studies show, I listened to this amazing podcast with Ryan Holiday and Gary Vaynerchuk. You can check it out. And they were talking about how social media has become inundated with people posting the same types of photos, like here's a cappuccino. And how you actually stand out in social media is to make it the story behind it, make it more pretty, make the journey, like what you're doing with your cappuccino, why your cappuccino is more unique. So it goes back to this ideology that we've known for such a long time, that it's how you're presenting the story of what's being shown. So I just don't know if less styled is going to work for us. We will be testing it as we go. But I will say that we really aim to create stuff that's going to stop people scrolling in their feed, and that usually is by up-leveling the type of styling that's there. But I hear ya, we'll be working through that. Okay. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure that we gave people enough time. It's 5:12 for those of you guys who stuck around for the extra 12 minutes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I totally appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I'm actually really looking forward to October 1st because we're gonna start doing some stuff, making some magic on Facebook, and hopefully you guys will find it to be very helpful and valuable as well. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you guys and your support. Have a good one.